This is what happens when anime is real. I mean, some people still really think that.
What if anime was real?
Oh my god.
Are you gonna like... Okay, I wanted to say, are you gonna mention all the like weebs who love the females in anime and they're trying to find real women that look like anime characters?
I just wish it was true.
Shut the fuck up, you weeb! It's rare nowadays that I ever go back to revisit an anime. Do you see how many shows are airing every season? In this day and age, I can barely keep up with what's coming out. And you think I got time to go back and watch shit like The Hero is overpowered but overly cautious? Huh? Who's still watching this?
What's that?
Who still thinks about this? We're all consuming so much media now that
True.
even if you enjoyed a show, even if you found something good in the moment, you can't always predict when something will actually stick with you because we move on so fast. But there is a show that's been living rent-free in my mind and refuses to leave even years after it's aired now. A show so unique, so batshit insane, it explored a premise I've never seen in anime before and since. A show that seemingly everyone around me has already stopped talking about and moved on from. So, wanting to know why I couldn't do the same, I tried seeing if it was actually as good as I thought it was, and deserving to stick on in my memory, and upon my rare second viewing, I realized I was wrong. It was so much better. But I'm getting ahead of myself, because first, it's sponsor time. This video is brought to you by NeuroCloud. NeuroCloud is a brand new up-and-coming roguelike strategy game spin-off of Girls Frontline. Set after an accident occurs in a virtual world, the bionic autonomous dolls, that's waifus to you and I, are scattered all over the cloud, and you, the professor, must gather them and seek resources to survive and search out a way to return to the real world. Woo! That's right, it's an isekai sci-fi, baby! The game's roguelike gameplay is streamlined for a more casual player experience, striking the perfect balance of strategy and fun. Navigate your way through fully non-linear branching paths and challenge randomly generated maps with unlimited possibilities. Every time you clear a level, you'll get function cards and you can use them to improve your team and find the perfect strategy to clear the next level. Not only that, but every character has an ultimate move as well, each one complete with a fully unique Nirvana-specific animation sequence, and man, just look at this. I was beyond impressed by every single one I used. There's nothing more satisfying than dropping your ult and watching this play out as you clear the room of enemies. It also helps that the girls themselves look absolutely incredible. The game's unique sci-fi art style really embraces the setting and provides you with the character arc featuring detailed backgrounds that really gives you a sense of each doll's personality. They aren't just PNGs. You can use these things as your bloody desktop wallpaper. Guys, they aren't just PNGs. So, what are you waiting for? Follow the link in the description to download the game and start your adventure today. Also, make sure to use the gift code on screen to get yourself some free exclusive benefits. Thank you very much to NeuroCloud for sponsoring me today. Back to the video.
Okay, we're back.
What
Let's
would
go.
the world be like if fiction became reality?
Yeah.
1秒あれば世界は変わるのだ
This is a question Sota unexpectedly has to deal with when one day he gets transported right into an anime that he's watching. But wait, hold on. He gets transported back and finds out that the anime characters have come with him. Suddenly, characters from all sorts of anime, games, manga, genres start appearing in the real world and start duking it out. It's an all-out brawl.
Duking it out? What does that mean?
Fantasy Knight starts flying around in our reality. This mage summons Gate of Babylon, except it's got bloody rocket launchers. Fucking magical girl appears. How cool is this concept? Now, I know what you're thinking. Gigak talking about another isekai. Yes.
That's me.
But actually, no. Look, yes, we can keep up the meme and call this an isekai, but the premise and appeal is not even in the same galaxy as your standard isekai. So no, I don't like this because it's an isekai. I like it because it's fate. One thing I absolutely love in any medium is seeing elements that don't traditionally exist together clash with each other in a story. Like that was the biggest
I like that.
reason.
I like when you combine magic against guns and this guy is like trying to put the spell on you and you're like, boop, and then he's dead. Yeah, I love that.
I started to get invested in the MCU in the first place. Growing up, I was never massive into superhero movies. And when Phase 1 first released, that's mostly how I felt. Then, Avengers came out and I was like, wait, I get to see a billionaire engineer fight a Nordic god and a super soldier in the mix?
Now you have my attention.
Hulk starts wrecking shit. Aliens blow up New
Yeah.
York, and Hawkeye's like, guys,
Yeah.
I have a bow and arrow. Then, slowly, you start seeing the world changing. Governments have to acknowledge the threat of alien invasions. Space travel gets introduced as a normal thing. Doctor Strange comes
Yeah.
out. Great. I guess we have wizards now, too. Black Panther. Okay, now there's a secret advanced civilization. Thanos invades, and Hawkeye's still like, guys, I still got my bow and arrow. Thanos,
Hey, don't be mean to Hawkeye, you meanie. Don't mention him in here. Don't do that.
you better watch out. I'm gonna shoot you with this arrow. It's a really sharp arrow.
Um,
Pew. Magic,
love
space,
him.
technology,
He's our
gods,
hero.
super soldiers. You have all these elements, all coexisting, all coming to head in the same universe. Not as a gimmick, but building off each other for a grander plot. And this is the basis of why I love Recreators so much. This is what happens when you take every cliche genre in anime and crash them into each other. Take a look at this scene. We start off with the magical girl and definitely not Saber arguing ethics with the equivalent of a scheming yandere Izaya from Durarara. That's going about as well as you imagine. Then, Superior Asuna and a Final Fantasy mage jump in. Negotiations have broken down. Not Saber uses her noble phantasm. It starts wrecking shit. Her and Superior
not
Asuna
the
go
bridge.
at it.
How are people gonna
A
go
Guilty
to
Gear
work?
character casually walks in. He doesn't have
Now
magic.
they have to
He's
go
got a
around,
fucking
man.
gun.
I started blasting. Bang! Bang!
Magic versus guns. What wins? Guns. What beats guns? JoJo stands. A Persona character with a JoJo stand joins the fray in battles by using his stand. Seeing all this violence, the magical girl just wants everyone to get along and decides to join in to try and stop the fighting with the power of friendship and more violence. It's carnage, it's mayhem, and just as you think it can't get any crazier, a giant mech just drops in and... What is happening? You have
Literally, what is happening, bro? Transformer, magic girl. The hell?
a fake character fighting a fantasy character, fighting a Guilty Gear character, fighting a Persona character, fighting a magical girl, and in the middle of this, there's just a Monogatari villain causing complete chaos. Seeing havoc like this unfold is some of the most fun I've ever had as an anime fan. Because if you're a weeb who's watched shows with the characters like this in them, how the hell does this not put a smile in your face? This is a show that rewards those who are familiar with the tropes of anime by taking the cliches you know and flipping them into unfamiliar territory. So you may be wondering, why the hell did everyone else forget about this show? That's what I want to fucking know! The most common complaint I see about the show is that it's just bogged down with too much dialogue because, oh lord, there's a lot of it. The first two episodes open up with a bang. You got giant robots, you got explosions, you got this badass girl playing a gun with a sword like a violin to control other swords, and you're like, oh god, I'm so ready, this is gonna be awesome! Then the next few episodes hits and it's like,
それは私にとってとても重要なことだ。
can we get back to the sword lady fighting the giant Gundam again, please?
we
The first time I
please?
watched this, I came in with the expectations that this was just going to be a dumb, fun action romp with anime from every genre. So when there were several episode stints of nothing but just talking, I would honestly just half zone out, waiting for the next action scene. But on my second viewing, because I knew when the action was coming, because I wasn't just anticipating the next big fight scene, I had the chance to actually fully immerse myself to what they were talking about, and I thought, damn. This is actually interesting as hell. Recreators doesn't just settle with presenting this wacky concept of, hey guys, what if anime was real?
Okay. If the talking is on the same level as Castlevania dialogues, I am there for it. It's like memory.
Put serious thought into
come
what
on.
struggles would actually exist if characters of fiction could break the barrier to our world. From the biggest effects to the smallest details. Characters that get transported here end up having some sort of sensory overload when they come to our world. The air feels different, the food tastes more flavorful, colors are brighter. What they experience in their world is only dependent on how much detail their author puts into their work. How descriptive was the orange juice they drank? Did the author deem it necessary to add coffee to their world building? But here, taste, smell, sight, a whole world of sensations they've never experienced is now at their fingertips, and I just thought this was a cool little detail I never would have thought about. But on top of this, Recreators builds on its concept to explore so many interesting ideas, like what if these creations could actually meet their creators? We've seen this before with gimmicky fourth wall breaks, but to fictional characters, meeting your author is essentially meeting your god, the person responsible for all the bad things, all the natural disasters, all Fortnite dancers to ever exist. How would that make you feel? Would you be happy, in awe, Angry, knowing they allowed Sasuke to do this. How would you feel if your god didn't even care about their own story and only did it for money? How would you feel if your god was a pervert and you were only created as an object of sexual desire? How would you feel if you met your god only to find out they were a devil, knowing that you were a character in a tragedy? Seeing these creations cope with the fact that their god was not a god, but in fact so disappointingly mortal, and their entire lives were just stories played out for entertainment, was an aspect that added so many fascinating angles. Every creation shares a different dynamic with their creator. Some came to resent their creators, some formed a pseudo-parent-child bond, some just chose to ignore it and take a deep puff of some of that good copium. And this took the archetypes these characters were based on in so many interesting directions. Take Mamika, the magical girl. Right in episode 2, we find out magical girls are packing some heat. Her family-friendly magic starts fucking shit up. Buildings are erupting. There are explosions everywhere. She almost kills a guy. People are fucked. Then afterwards, she looks around and is like, oh my god, who did this? You did this! You caused all this collateral damage! What the fuck is collateral damage? She comes from a children's show where there is no violence and every problem is solved by the power of friendship. So when she finds out she can cause serious harm and not all conflicts can be solved by telling people to get along, she's just like, This is a character that's completely out of her depth, but through these interactions, she starts to learn a new worldview. She changes her perspective, changes her approach, realizes the world is more complicated than it is in a children's cartoon, and eventually starts taking actions in a way her original archetype never would have, while still remaining the same core character of wanting to save the people around her. This is something that rings true for every creation we see in the show. Alistaria, a righteous fantasy knight understanding a world where justice isn't just black or white. Blitz, a character who has to come to terms that he was created for the sole purpose of suffering. Celestia, Kanaya, Yuya, Magane, character archetypes we recognize are forced into situations we would never usually see them in, and because of that they can slowly change into far more interesting characters than they ever would have got the chance to in their original stories. It's shit like this that had me hooked the entire run, where most shows would take this premise and go, anime characters in real life, duh. Recreator sits down and goes, okay, what if that one person was like this, or that character was like that? How would they react? How does that change the dynamic? And that spawns another idea, then another. The show is bursting with so many unique concepts that takes advantage of its insane premise. The action can be high-octane, turbo-fisto fun, but at the same time, it's a series that's not afraid to just sit down and spend some time chilling with the characters just struggling to live in the world. Does this make up for all the excessive dialogue? No. Even with all this interesting stuff, there's so much of what I like to call anime bullshittery. Characters will just pull a 5-minute exposition dump on why other people are being transported to the real world. How do we fix this? Why the world is coming to a fucking end. And I hate to do this, but girl, this is kinda on you. Half the time when the plot doesn't know where to go, our lovely mage Meteora will suddenly get a bright idea and be like, guys, I have a theory. Go on. That is a fascinating theory. Do you have any sources?
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
The show spends so much time and makes up so much bullshit trying to explain its own mechanics, and while some of it is cool, a lot of it really did not need to be that complicated. Recreators, looking at you, nobody gives a rat's ass of your PhD level of bullshit you used to explain why anime characters are here and why the world is coming to an end. If you needed to add stakes, you have an OP villain who hates the world. Just give a time limit before her power becomes fully active or some shit. Come on. Look, we're not here for this.
もちろんその通り。私たちは今まで
Shut
通
up,
り。
bitch!
We're here for this. There are some other things as well, like Magane's power makes
How
no
many
sense
people
and it's just
die?
broken in every way. The final conclusion takes so much suspension of disbelief and it's just anime bullshittery shot up into the fucking stratosphere, but honestly, I don't really mind. The more time passes, the more I've just appreciated what this series tried to do, and watching it again made me rethink some of the things I thought I hated about it. I remember the first time I watched this, I absolutely despised Sota. Sota is a shriveled scrotum of a protagonist. Early on we find out that he knows the origin of the villain everyone's trying to find out about, and he just does nothing. Doesn't tell anyone, doesn't do anything. The plot goes on standstill just for him. And I remember the first time I watched this, I was fuming. Livid that this Shinji ass motherfucker was taking up valuable screen time when I could be watching a giant robot turbo fist a fucking flying knight. But then you find out the reason for it and I was like, oh, I think I get it now. Sota isn't a hero like the characters he's standing next to. He's just a normal dude who likes anime. Shy, socially awkward, living with his own trauma, afraid to face the problems in his life head on. Frustratingly afraid to take action, but frustratingly real. He's someone who needs the heroes you see in anime to give him something to aspire to be. And that's when I realized that Recreators is a story about stories. Why is it that fiction exists? Why do we need heroes,
I mean,
villains?
to be honest, like, stories are the best thing ever. Like, when you're a child, you live through the stories. You ask your parents to to tell you a story before bedtime. You always watch these animes, these cartoons and whatnot for the stories. Like, everything is about, you create your own stories. You play video games recreating your stories, whether it is with Barbies or with cars, you know, it's all, that is our existence. We love stories, and a really good story like leaves an impact on you, and it teaches you things.
Why do our stories require conflicts for our characters to overcome to be interesting? This is something that all the creations in the show have to come to terms with in their own way. Would Guts from Berserk be able to accept what's happened, knowing his perseverance inspired thousands to push through their own struggles? Would Olga from Kurino react well, knowing that she helped? Never mind. I love stories. I love stories so much I found a career talking about how much I love stories. And when I saw this series exploring the importance of fiction in our lives, I didn't just appreciate the very original way it went about it, but I also appreciated just how personal it felt to me. And then the show ended on a 4-episode balls to the wall action free-for-all, and I was happy again. Recreators is a fan fiction for anyone who's ever created something, a celebration of anime and the culture behind it, a look into the dangers of online toxicity, a boatload of fun, and a love letter to stories themselves. Can it be a little messy? Yeah. Is the dialogue a little bloated? Yeah. Is the pacing a bit off? Yeah, but now I've just come to value something that so specifically speaks to my tastes, even if the execution isn't perfect. A 7 or 8 out of 10 show that appeals to me is, in my opinion, more important than a perfectly crafted 10 out of 10 classic that doesn't. And that's why I'll always choose something like Tales of Arise over The Last of Us, Scott Pilgrim over The Godfather. Hell, it's why I'm so addicted to Genshin, even though I know I could clown on this game for fucking days. A show like this was never going to be super popular or go down as a critically acclaimed classic, but it's a series brimming with so many interesting ideas, so many original concepts, so many fun moments that never fail to put a smile on my face, and a core that speaks to my love of fiction. There is no other anime like Recreators, nothing else I can recommend to you. This was a batshit crazy idea for a show, and somehow someone was equally batshit crazy enough to approve it. Give me a choice of a popular, highly acclaimed anime like Jujutsu Kaisen or Recreators, and I choose Recreators every time. We've seen variations of this show before. They were called Bleach or Yu Yu Hakusho, and no, I'm not calling them the same show, but you know what I mean. Fuck, just look at the beginning of Chainsaw Man right now and tell me the premise and plot structure isn't all.
Come on. I mean, yeah, it is, but it's still unique in its way. It's still different.
Almost identical. There's
Identical it is, but that's
gonna be more Jujutsu Kaisens in the future. There's gonna be more My Hero Academias in the future. There's gonna be more Narutos in the future. But there's only ever been one Recreators.
He's in love with the Recreators. He sold it. I have to watch it. I will watch one episode tonight and see how this anime looks like. I don't know how many episodes there are. It doesn't look like it has a lot of episodes. I love how Giga is going heavy on the soundtrack, because anything by Hiroyuki Sawano is going to sound amazing, and I butchered the name of this guy for sure. I know I did. I swear any show Giga talks about suddenly gets 4 times more interesting after I watch the video. Literally. He knows how to sell an anime, and he just sold it. He just sold this anime. Like, I have to watch it. I have to.